Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this evening, we've got the one, the only Harry Austin at Ramacall across all social media. Joining me this evening, and there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the noisy room, Jacob Terrell. Jacob. So for everyone over in the chat already, Jane, Justin, Josh, hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you had a Merry Christmas. Thank you guys for being here with us on a Thursday night. We had intended to not podcast at all this week, but the league and the club said, no, you can't have a week off. So we've got a lot to get to this evening. Jacob's getting his final settings going over there. Jacob, are we...
Man, we're as close to ready as we're going to get, I think. So let's
all right. Well, first and foremost, Harry, thank you for joining us. I want to ask you, Harry, since you're with us, longtime fan of what you do. We're friends on and off the air. You guys, we'll talk about San Antonio here first, real quick. San Antonio obviously signed a new coach as well, brought in a new Gaffer. And what's the thought around the new head coach down in San Antonio?
So, from what we've heard, he runs a very similar style than Coach Marcina. However, I've been a big Gio Savarese fan since he was with the Cosmos, and then he went to Timbers, and that's who that's who the new San Antonio FC coach is been with for the last 15 years. So he's 55, and this will be his first head coach position. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the thing that kind of worries somebody, or worries the fans here, is somebody at 55 getting their first full-time job after being, he's won titles with the Cosmos and NASL. He's won titles with DC United as a player. Was on the U.S. men's national team that's where they lost out in Germany for that year. So he's got the pedigree. The question is, how will he be the main target? One thing we're kind of excited about is he's the first Latino coach for that here. So we're hoping that, nothing against Darren Powell or Alan Marcina. But Spanish obviously wasn't their first language, and I think probably is very similar to in New Mexico, being able to reach that Spanish or Hispanic fan base can be a huge positive. So obviously, just like with you guys probably have a little bit more knowledge on Dennis, where we're kind of seeing what changes that the new San Antonio FC coach will have. So, but I think overall it's positive. I think SAFC needed a change from Coach Marcina. Mm-hmm. From whispers that we've heard, locker room was an issue last year, and whether that was with the new sporting director, with Marcina, just we saw signs at the end of 2023 that things were starting to fall off, and the wheels fell off last year in 2024 for sure. Where San Antonio didn't make the playoffs, which, 66% of teams make the playoffs, and San Antonio was not one of them. So,
yeah, definitely a down year. And we've talked about it in our group chat, kind of felt like it's been a slow news cycle for San Antonio. You've got the coach, news came out the other day, Nicky Hernandez back in San Antonio. Do you think that's a function of the new coach coming in? Do you think you're going to start seeing more player announcements here as we get rolling into the new year? And when do you think things really start to pick up for you guys?
I don't know if it's tied to the coach or tied to the sporting director who comes from FC Dallas, Marco Ferruzzi. So he knows Nicky. I will say when Nicky spent a season with us on loan from FC Dallas during our title year, was cut from FC Dallas. We were kind of surprised he didn't come back, especially where you guys picked him up mid-season, if memory serves me right. New Mexico did. And he had a pretty good 2023 second half of the season, and I think he scored the most goals that he's ever scored at the for that half. And then last year, stat wise, I don't know if he had quite the same stats as the year before, and I don't think he played poorly, but he didn't play at the same level, which is probably why he's not back with New Mexico United for that year. So he's coming home. I know he's very liked. He's a huge locker room guy, which I think you guys probably know. But he was huge with the 2022 team, and where they're trying to repair the locker room. If those rumors are true, it'll I think it'll be a huge positive for San Antonio to have him now. Question is, how does he fit? Obviously, we got to see how San Antonio fills out. Looking at kind of the player announcement sheet that I have, they'll probably pick up in January, early February, like most teams. And then I think it's March 4th, right? That the season kicks off.
I believe so.
March 8th. So you figure by February, 1st of February, most likely, that all teams will be in camp, right? You figure 5-6 weeks for most camps.
Yeah, it's weird to say, but yeah, preseason's
a month away.
Around the corner.
It's a month away, really, realistically.
So. Yeah, it's been a fast off season, despite the slow news as it appears to be. But it's going to be exciting to see what happens. We're certainly going to miss Nicky, as you mentioned. His stats weren't quite the same as in 2023. But he played more of a defensive minded role in 2024. More of that box to box guy, dropping back, making recovery runs. Didn't necessarily create many opportunities in the scoring in the final third, but he's a tremendous player, loved in the community. And I think he's a great addition back to the San Antonio locker room. And
we get to see each other 3 times, so yay.
That we do, yeah. We're certainly going to get into that as well, because we got schedule announcements, we got all sorts of stuff. Quickly, do want to touch on the New Mexico Runners. The New Mexico Runners were on the road for their second match of the season, falling by a final score of 14-4 to Oklahoma City. So tough opening couple of weeks for the Runners. They will be back in action on Sunday at a 3:05 p.m. kickoff out at the Rear Rancher Event Center. First home match of the season. Get out and get your tickets if you plan on being there. I should be there with my kids and my girlfriend. So it's going to be, it should be an interesting match on Sunday. So, but Jacob's here. Maggie is taking over the co-hosting duties here this evening. So welcome, Maggie. Glad to have you with us.
Say hi.
Hi. There we go. She is definitely picking up on what you're doing, Jacob.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cut her off.
For sure.
Already dropping the
For
drink.
sure, huh?
So, Jacob, I want to ask you quickly. Everyone's well? I know you had a delay tonight a little bit.
Yeah. It's been the weirdest Christmas week of my life, I think. But no, everybody's doing good. I was sick, and Zeke was sick Christmas Eve. Allie somehow sprained her knee. We didn't know what was going on, and that's why we were at the ER, because it had swollen up and was pretty tender. But we got it taken care of, and now we're back. And so for 3 days, she's been hobbled, and I've been sick / recovering. And so, as you can tell by the table behind me, when you have 4 kids and 2 parents that are down, it's truly the children of the corn at that point, and the kids just run this insane asylum at that point. So it's a disaster around here, but we're still ticking. Still excited about the news that we've been getting from the USL and from New Mexico United, and so ready to talk about it for sure.
All right. Well, first and foremost,
2 kids.
What?
2 kids and 1 parent, or 2 kids and 2 parents? It still looks the same in the background.
Yeah, That's true. That's true. I've learned that as well, but usually I have at least a few minutes to clear that table off. And then what you guys can't see is the the worst part, and that's okay. But today I didn't even have time to clear the table off, so you get to see all of it. Just know that behind me is pretty much how the living room looks right now, after the toys and everything.
No, absolutely, completely understand. We've all been there. We've all had the young children and just not enough time. So especially right after Christmas, fortunately, Melanie's here with me. She's been helping me take care of the cleaning of the presents and the gift wrap and all that kind of stuff. And and dishes as well. Yeah. So so I mean, let's get right into it. First and foremost, and probably the least of the news, Kayla Ryden's back. I mean, I personally wasn't expecting Kaylin to come back. But our captain is back for 2025. Jacob, what are your thoughts on Kaylin returning?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it wasn't a surprise. He feels like another Brucey. He came in obviously in year 2, but he's got some roots here. They've had their baby here. They just seem like they really like it around here, and so that mixed with the fact that he's had a couple of injury-prone seasons the last couple of years. Not sure what the market would be for him, anyways. Necessarily, I'm sure there were some places that offered him something, but unless it was significantly more than here, I don't think he would be leaving with what we've got going on. And I think with him and Talon and Herbert coming back, and Seymour for that matter, like I feel like our back line is taking pretty good shape, and especially the center back position. And so maybe add another body or two there, at least one I would like to see, especially with Seymour's versatility and Seymour and Ryden's age creeping up there. I think another, younger, like Maple Herbert-esque type player back there this year would be nice. And then we've got, Ryden back there, and I don't know if he'll be our starter every year. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Maples kind of takes over as the primary captain, since I think he'll be playing the most out of any center back there. And from what we saw, I mean, United did a really good job putting out some hype videos from the playoff matches, and Maples was clearly the vocal leader, at least out there. And so Maggie agreed. I don't know if you caught that, but she definitely was like, yes, that is true. Tinky. Mm-hmm. And so no, exciting news, not like break the bank or break the internet news, but definitely something that I was excited to see, and I'm happy to have him back.
We will never ever let the club live that down.
No.
And I don't think
Brian Brown, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no.
Jane over in chat asked, "What about Gloucester?"
I'm not sure. Obviously, we haven't heard yet if he's coming back or not. As all of you guys know in the chat, anyways, I had very mixed feelings for Gloucester throughout the season, but I will say he did finish the year way better than he started it, and I don't know where he was the year before he came here, but I think he kind of let himself go a little bit and had to round into playing for him. But he was fantastic. I would love to see him back. Talks that I had at the end of last year with some people, it seemed like there was a decent possibility he comes back, but I don't know. So we know that the first 10 or so signings, other than Brucey, were options that were picked up. Ryden was the first one that seemed like a new contract done this offseason. It makes me think that Gloucester didn't have a contract option to pick up, and it comes down to negotiating. And so we shall see where that negotiation goes. I think now that we've got the coach in place who plays a slightly different but fairly similar style to Quill, that we can negotiate from a better place there and see what happens. But I hope he comes back. At this point, I know after last year, you probably don't think that I would believe that, but I do hope he comes back at this point.
Yeah, I personally like Gloucester. I think he has some really good moments throughout the season. I'd like to see him back, especially given the fact we don't have a left back at the moment.
No.
It would be nice to see him come back. The second big piece of news, and thank you to USL and Nick Murray, we have a season schedule.
This is super early, it feels like.
Yeah, everybody got a season schedule on the same day. Everybody. MLS, USL Championship, USL League One, even NISA, I guess, kind of, when reports broke that they will not be sanctioned by U.S. soccer.
It's a schedule, I guess.
Yeah. That is definitely a schedule there. But yeah, last Friday, the news dropped from the league that we have a season schedule. We also have Thursday. Yes, Thursday. Thank you, Harry.
It doesn't matter, Harry. At this point, this last
I got corrected on my show, so I'm correcting Seth on his show.
Fair enough.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, there you go. Very, very fair. So we have a season.
I should never question the team president of Team Jacob. I should just
Harry, you've been promoted again.
You need to drop the vice. I promoted you like 3 weeks ago, and you still got vice president up there, and you need to drop that.
So yeah, we have a season schedule. We have conference alignment. Lexington is in the West.
There we go. That's
30 match season schedule. We have Jägermeister Cup groups. We know our Jägermeister Cup schedule now. And so I mean, there's a lot to break down here. First of all, I mean, you look at the season schedule, Jägermeister Cup already thrown in. Our group for Jägermeister Cup, Colorado, El Paso, Phoenix, San Antonio, Texoma, and League One champions, Union Omaha. And of course, it wouldn't be a cup competition without us getting Phoenix Rising again. Jane, to your question, no, Open Cup is not going away. We're doing both. The league dropped 4 matches from this regular season schedule to accommodate the group stage of, and this isn't really even a group stage. We talked about it with, last week, to accommodate the Jägermeister Cup group stage. So yeah, 30 matches for the regular season. Jägermeister Cup. I mean, you look at this, it's an unbelievable schedule. Our season opens on March the 8th. Harry and I were just talking about a minute ago. We are about a month away from preseason.
There's already clubs dropping preseason matches. Most of those are like coming from them playing MLS teams, but we've already seen bits and pieces of some preseason schedules popping out.
Yeah, lots to break down here. Some big notes again. First match of the season on the road at Sacramento Republic. Las Vegas Lights away, March 15th. The return of Dennis Sanchez in his first match against his former club. First home match, March 22nd.
Hold on, let's pause right there on the Vegas.
Sure.
One, amazingly good timing, because I will actually be in Vegas already that week for the Mountain West Conference Tournament. And so when I saw the schedule drop and I already have my hotel and everything booked, I was just like, oh, thank you. And then, as you mentioned, we fold in Dennis Sanchez's return to Cashman Field. And, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be fun. And I'll be in Vegas, so I can go to the casino and bet on United to beat Vegas. It's going to be great. That out of all the things on here, one, El Paso for the opening match, which you were just about to get to, and then Vegas. Those were the 2 things that stuck out to me, partly because they were like the beginning of the season, but also just fantastic by the scheduling gods.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you look further down the schedule, you've got Union Omaha in our first Jägermeister Cup match. That is a hosting opportunity for us.
I'm excited we get to host that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Union Omaha, again, League One champions from 2024. Then you've got Phoenix Rising away in the Jägermeister Cup at the end of May. You've got Switchbacks at home in June for Jägermeister Cup. And then San Antonio, as Harry mentioned, 3 matches this season, at least, against San Antonio. That one, again, of course, the final group stage match at San Antonio. I mean, Harry, when you look at the Jägermeister Cup, I mean, what stands out to you in terms of scheduling here? How do you think it impacts the regular season schedule? And what do you think about this group?
This is the group of death, because you got New Mexico, who won the West last year as far as the regular season. Union Omaha won League One, and historically has been a very good team, not only in League One, but historically in Open Cup play, they are typically one of the League One teams that goes the furthest. So they're going to be a tough out. Number 2, San Antonio's won a title. Phoenix has won a title. Union Omaha's won a title. And Colorado Springs won the title last year. That's 4 champions in the last 3 years in this group alone. You got to think poor Tacoma, which you would think San Antonio would play because they're a Texas team, but no, we get Union Omaha as well. My biggest complaint with the Jägermeister Cup, and I think you've kind of hinted at it, is it creates an unbalanced schedule for the regular season where the past 2 years, I think we played everybody in the East once. This year, according to Jacob and our group, you guys miss Birmingham Legion, Indy, Tampa Bay, and Loudoun. I know we miss San Antonio misses Lou City. So to me, it'll be interesting. And like I said here, if I get a little bit of time during the holiday break here, it'd be kind of interesting to see who how that impacts what 4 teams, how that impacts the standings going forward. Because you could see where some teams, have a lighter 4-game schedule and some teams have a brutal. So, but.
Yeah, that they do. I mean, this group here is going to be incredibly tough to get out of. I mean, Jacob, obviously, I know I mentioned I would have liked to have seen both Texoma and Union Omaha because we've never seen them before. And I personally am tired of seeing Phoenix in cup matches. Rivalry be damned. Like, I'm tired of seeing them.
Well, wait till we play them in the Open Cup this year, too. Then you'll be really tired of it.
It'll be back to the COVID year.
Yeah, almost. Well, we didn't play them in the COVID years.
No, we did.
They were not in our division or region or whatever the hell they called it back then during those times. But yeah, I think we played them in the Open Cup when the Open Cup came back. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the group as far as Union Omaha and Texoma, whatever. Texoma.
Texaco?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It's been a week. But and San Antonio, I like having San Antonio in our group. They're a fun team to play, mainly because of Harry and what's the other guy's name?
Robert.
No, Douchebag. That's the other guy's name.
Earl Jr.
Robert. Yeah. Mainly because of you guys and the rivalry kind of there. And San Antonio is a team that I think we've played fairly evenly, even though and it hasn't really. It's been like if we've been kind of having a down year and you guys have been a good year, we still play you evenly, and vice versa. This last year, I think it was still fairly competitive games, and so that one I'm all right with. Phoenix and Colorado Springs, I mean, we've seen them a lot, but it's still gonna be fun. Whoever comes out of this group is gonna have earned it, like Harry said, though, for sure. And so,
but here's the disadvantage of that, because there's the group winners that get to it, and then I think it's 2 wild cards to get to 8 for that here, because I think there's 6 groups, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's the other thing about this group. The odds of somebody having the points per game or however they're going to do it, it's gonna be tough unless 2 teams just run away with it.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And so. But no, I mean, as to Josh's question over here about playing Open Cup and Jaeger games at the lab, I'm assuming the Jaeger Cup games they're all on Saturdays. All 4 of them are on Saturdays, let alone the 2 that we host here. And so I think those are basically just going to be treated like regular season games. So I imagine they're going to be at the lab.
Yeah. The Isotopes are out of town for both of the home Jägermeister Cup games.
So those will be at the lab. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to come this close to guaranteeing that those 2 are at the lab. Open Cup, that's going to depend on the draw and the dates, and I don't think we know that information fully yet. And so,
but that's midweek though. That's the issue.
Yeah,
I don't think you guys have hosted an Open Cup game, especially early rounds. At the lab, usually it's at the University of New Mexico Stadium or elsewhere for that here. So,
Andrew, where are you finding this information? Andrew says that wild cards are goals scored and not points per game. I looked to try to figure out who comes out of the groups and couldn't find anything, but Andrew, obviously, thank you, one, for filling in for us, for me anyways, last week. And I'm going to trust you because you're a
and no
guy.
draws either. No draws.
No draws. Penalty shootouts to determine match winners during the group stage and goals scored as the first tiebreaker in group standings.
Okay, I just didn't look hard enough.
That's
okay.
from
that's the tiebreaker. That's the tiebreaker though in group standings. But
to see who goes on, that might not. Interesting. Anyways, yeah. So I'm with Harry. I would like to have seen a still a full balanced schedule where everybody plays everybody in the West at least, but we don't make we don't make those decisions. So we'll see what happens. One thing I did know as far as the regular season schedule is we have a shit ton of home games to finish the season.
That we do.
Which has been a theme in past years, not so much last year, but in past years, they kind of backload those home games to get away from the baseball schedule. But we have 5 of our last 7 at home. And really it's actually 6 of our last 8 at home. Mm-hmm. And so that's interesting and it'll make for a busy fall as if parents don't have enough things going on in the fall. But that Harry joked in the chat that we would be eliminated by then already, which I thought was hilarious, coming from somebody who was in the 33% that didn't make the playoffs last year. But no matter what, like we're not going to be eliminated at that point for sure. Even El Paso wasn't eliminated at that point last year. And so go ahead, Harry. What do you got, Harry?
So here's also something that I haven't heard anybody else say, but I discovered this. If New Mexico United or San Antonio or whatever team makes the final, it's scheduled for October 11th. Everybody's scheduled to play on October 11th. And the reason why that's important, there's only 2 weeks left in the season.
Yeah.
So to me, from a USL championship aspect, and hopefully I would love it to be a San Antonio versus New Mexico final for a 4th time. Don't get me wrong, but giving only 2 weeks to reschedule 2 teams, assuming that it'd have to be 2 teams, possibly 4, to 4 teams schedule with that short of a window. And we've seen like last year with Tampa with the Hurricanes, that sometimes Mother Nature causes some issues as well. That's my only concern. God forbid we go deep, and especially for you guys, where it's a home game on Saturday, and then the next 2 weeks are home games as well. Is switching a Saturday game, for because it'd have to be a midweek game if you make the final for that here. So that's the only thing that I wish. Wish they wouldn't have the final that late in the year for this year, because to me it opens the door to have some issues schedule wise right before the playoffs.
That it does. I do absolutely agree with that. And you'd hate to see that possibly impact playoffs. Whether it's through seeding or someone getting in. If let's say United and San Antonio do both make it to that final, what if we're still vying for positions? What if one of us is still vying for that playoff spot? You wouldn't want to think that either of our clubs are that low on the table, but someone gets hurt that late in the season in a cup.
One of our clubs was last year, but
yeah. But no, I completely agree. Like I get it.
You're muted, Harry.
It makes a lot of sense.
But even if you're trying for the number 1 seed or top 4 seed to be able to host, to me, injuries aside, to be able to have 4 games in the last 2 weeks of the season isn't good because you figure the last match, and especially where you guys face Rhode Island, which in the last match, which most likely will be a tough match because Rhode Island didn't really lose a whole lot at this point and added Maxi Rodriguez from Detroit. So they're going to be loaded for bear to try to finish what they didn't finish last year.
Well, I'm curious. So it will conclude on the final weekend of October 11th. I wonder how much time is between the semifinal and October 11th, and possibly being able to reschedule that. For us, the Orange County October 11th match, possibly rescheduling that earlier rather than in the last 2 weeks. Does that make sense?
You got a total of 3 matches. So the regular season ends July 20th, or the regular season, the group stage ends July 26th.
Right.
So you figure you've got August and September to play those 2 matches. And that's why, to me, having it that late on October 11th just pushes it right up against that window where if, let's say, let's say it was first week in October, then you got more time. You've got 3 weeks, 4 weeks to be able to go through. But to me, just that was the thing that stuck out to me. And we saw it with Tampa this year, how their end of season got all out of whack due to the hurricanes.
I have to imagine that they have a plan there for that specific situation. Like, I can't imagine they're just going in going, oh, nope, you're going to play 4 games there at the end, and then
they have to.
No, because what if the semifinal for the Jaeger Cup is September 19th?
Right.
I don't know what date that is. Just throwing it out there. So we'll say like 13th, September 13th, or the 19th. 19th kind of works too. Say the semifinal is that day. Then you've got almost 3 weeks before October 11th that you could move that October 11th game to as well.
They won't do that, though. For TV purposes, they've locked in that October 11th date.
No, I'm not saying move the championship, the final. I'm saying move your...
That's what we're talking about, though.
No, I'm saying move the teams that are in the final, move their regular season match.
Oh, you can move it earlier.
Instead of back.
Depending on their available. Yeah, I guess you can do that, yeah.
So if the semifinal is the weekend of the 20th of September, then you figure out who's going to be in the championship. Then you have 3 weeks there before October 11th that you could potentially move that regular season match to. So you have more of a window there. It doesn't have to be after the October 11th date necessarily. But I don't know when the semifinal is. So if the semifinal is October 4th, then yeah, you're kind of screwed. And also, like, we've got matches.
You've got matches every week.
Every weekend for all of September. And so do the knockout round matches become midweek matches until the final? Or so there's a lot of unknown there that I'm going to, at the moment, give USL the benefit of the doubt and say that they thought this out when they made the schedule and they will have a plan in place for the most part. Okay, calm down. I know you want to be on the show. There.
We're going to have the star.
Happy?
Yep.
You want to see the screen, though? There you go.
There we go. Yeah, it's all interesting things to look at. It'll be interesting, especially, if a club does get that far, when you look at the schedule and how it's set up. I agree with Jacob. I do think that the league is prepared for this. I do think they have some contingencies in place because you certainly don't want it to have a significant detrimental effect on the league schedule, particularly that late. And I would have to think that, with there being 2+ months after the group stage ends, that there should be plenty of time to get those knockout rounds done. And opening up the doors for rescheduling if necessary. So, Andrew, no info I can find for sure on the knockout round rounds other than the end date. I believe all matches are on ESPN Plus, so TV is less of a consideration.
At this time, we don't know what they're going to announce for the TV deals. So,
yeah, that's right. They haven't said anything yet, have they? Because ESPN
No,
Plus was
still early.
Was a 1 year deal. So
I will say, I did find it interesting that the Super League is on Peacock.
yes, yeah, I think that's a really good move for them. You know, when you have the Super League, you know, on there on the same network that you see, you know, Premier League on, I think that's a fantastic move for the league. Could it be I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind if USL was over on Peacock.
I have it already. So
yeah, I mean, I'm saying I have it already too. So
at this point, I think if you're a soccer fan in America, you probably have Peacock. Would be my guess.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of them that don't.
Well, if they don't and they bitch about it, then I'm going to say that's what you get for getting rid of DirecTV and decentralizing all this stuff and having to have 17 subscriptions.
We all said we wanted a la carte, and well, we all got a la carte. I did not. I was not on that bandwagon. I was perfectly fine with my DirecTV. I was.
I will say your DirecTV works pretty well.
It does.
But DirecTV doesn't have ESPN Plus, doesn't have the Peacock stuff either.
Well, now because we've shifted away from that.
Yeah. See, I'm with Josh. I turn on Paramount Plus for UCL. That's about it. Other than that, I really don't do much with Paramount.
We have shows on just about every platform. Paramount Plus, Survivor. We watch Survivor pretty religiously. And Ghosts. Ghosts is a funny show. You should watch Ghosts.
Well, maybe we'll check that out. I know
which
Squid
version?
Games
There's a UK
today,
version and an American version.
I've not watched the UK version. I'm not a fan of UK comedy. Not that it's bad. It just doesn't.
It's a drier
my
comedy,
taste.
yeah.
And so I like the American version of Ghosts, but that's just me. But they're both on there on Paramount Plus. You can watch either one of them, Seth. Your soulless robot sense of humor might like the UK version a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd be curious though. I think you should watch both and let me know.
Justin brings up a good point. What about Netflix? You know, obviously they had NFL on yesterday. You know, they had the Tyson Paul fight not too long ago, which was marred with problems.
That was a disaster.
That one was.
If I could play the Michael Scott, no, meme, I would right now.
Yeah, I will say that the NFL broadcasts were significantly better than the Tyson Paul fight. It wasn't perfect by any means.
That's probably because after the Paul fight, NFL probably went to Netflix and be like, if you don't get this shit figured out, you will never host another live sport ever again.
Yeah.
And they were like, yes, sir. Okay.
Well, also, just to kind of circle back to the scheduling, Netflix won the rights to the next 2 Women's World Cup that's going to be on Netflix.
Yeah.
Only.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they sell the rights to a network TV. But you're going to have Netflix to watch. Which, I'll say this. It's nice having it on one place. The question is, will they have multi-channel? Or, where you can watch multiple games. Because the problem with Netflix is they limit the number of screens that you can watch. I believe as well. So that's the thing that you'd have to cut. And they're gonna, be watching that super, super close.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would think that's a technology they could figure out in the next 2 years. Multi-box or picture in picture. I'm sure Netflix can figure that out at some point.
If YouTube can do it, Netflix can do it.
You would think, but Paramount still doesn't for all the soccer that they have. Like today, they had 8 English Football League's championship, and I think League One was on there at the same time, and no multi-channel. The Premier League rolled it out on Peacock a couple weeks ago, a multi-channel.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't realize that. I don't care about any other teams but mine, so I don't really care to watch any of this.
Well, all I can say is up the toffees, and City is floundering. So,
Dude, that is like Newcastle's on a roll.
Yeah.
Man U's down. Man City's down. It's a wonderful time.
Tottenham is the same.
Tottenham.
They look good, and then they look like crap, and then they look good, and they look like crap. So
Everton's staying afloat.
Nothing's new there. Trust me.
I think Everton finishes above Man U on how the current form is going.
At this rate, we may be. Yeah, I mean, a point against City, point against Arsenal. I'll take it.
Yeah. And I'll say this: if I'm City, give me the points deductions now because you've already lost the title.
I hope they wait. Till next year now. This is probably all part of the plan, though. They've probably already come to a handshake agreement. They're probably like, "Hey, we suck this year. Just do it now." And they're like, "Oh, okay, fine, no problem." What could be interesting though is if they are bad enough and they get points deducted. Hello, championship.
The thing is, though, I think if they went down for 1 year, it wouldn't hurt them, and we know it'd only be a 1 year.
No, but how hilarious would that be to go from winning the title, 4 years in a row, to getting relegated? Partly because of
there'd be a big asterisk because of the.
Yeah. So. I still think it'd be hilarious.
It would be fun to see that for sure. I just, at the top of the table, I just hope Chelsea can surpass Liverpool. So,
no chance.
Probably not.
No, I do not want that.
You lost to Fulham today at home.
Yeah, I know. I was keeping an eye on the end of that. I was like, what in the world? That was, because Chelsea was up 1-0 in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
now you're 7 points back, and Liverpool's got a game in hand. So realistically, you have to think you're 10 points back. The only savings grace is, if you really look at the history, the team leading at Christmas has not historically won the league.
Mm-hmm. So. That's true. So, but we're not here to talk Premier League as much as I would love to at some point. We've got one more small piece of news.
Just a little bit.
Just a little news.
Shocking.
It really was. It really was.
So, a couple, Jacob, you and I talked a couple weeks ago about where you're at in terms of, United signing a coach, and you were kind of down on getting an announcement before Christmas. I said I was up on getting an announcement before Christmas, and sure enough, 23rd, we get a stay tuned announcement from the club. Now we all started reading into this. Was the S and T both capitalized? Does that mean something? There was no teaser, no other teaser text, and then there it was, 10 a.m. Christmas Eve.
Well, and even before that, Twitter page, USL News and Rumors. I don't remember exactly what it is. Broke that he was hearing that it was Dennis Sanchez, to which all of us were kind of like, okay, maybe, but one, that guy kind of has a spotty track record, and two, didn't have anything to do with stay tuned, as far as I could tell, and three, why would he leave Vegas to come here, and why would Vegas let him go? But then, like you said, 10 o'clock rolls around the next day, and what do we get? Dennis Sanchez, huh?
Yeah. There you go. Dennis Sanchez, the new head coach of New Mexico United, after his first head coaching gig of his career over at Las Vegas Lights FC, where he took a Las Vegas Lights team that had not played well ever and brought them to a 31-point increase in a single season. Got them to the first ever playoffs, Western Conference Finals. I mean, to me, this is an absolute get for United. You look into his history, his involvement with academies at Sacramento, at Columbus Crew. This seems to be a very good fit for the culture of United and what the club has been trying to do with the academy and bringing up younger talent and really trying to integrate them at a high level. It'll be interesting to see just what exactly happens, and maybe now we start to get some player announcements. But Jacob, you said he has a spotty track record, but he's got one head coaching season under his belt.
Who did I spotty track record? I said
that's what you just said. Yeah,
you did.
I don't know why I said that. gonna have to rewind the tape and see what I was thinking there. No, I think I'm excited about the hire. I think it's a great hire. I think there's some people, Cole, that would say he has a spotty track record or doesn't have enough of a track record, is how I would phrase that. So kind of like Harry was talking about their new head coach not having any head coaching experience. Our guy at least has a year, and it was a fantastic year, and there's still fans that are bitching about. Oh yeah, no. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Andrew understood. The spotty track record was for the Twitter account that broke the news the night before. He has a spotty track record. Sometimes he's on it, sometimes he's not. So I'm glad Andrew knew what the hell was going on because my mind had forgot already. But no, I think it's a fantastic hire. I think what he did with Vegas. Now Vegas went through a ton of changes last year. And so it will be interesting to parse out what the percentage of that turnaround was coaching, what the percentage was just like overall like locker room feel and vibe, what it was to better quality players. Like, I don't know exactly what led to that. It was a combination of all three. I just don't know what percentage Dennis Sanchez played in that. I think their style was a fun brand of soccer, was a pretty successful brand of soccer for those players. And it's, I mentioned it earlier, like he's similar to Quill. He's not exactly the same. There will be minor tweaks, but they both, like, I think going into that champion or the quarterfinal or semifinal game, Western Conference semifinal against Vegas, we were like first and third in possession going into that game. And so he likes possession. He values possession. He wants to build out of the back. Seth's favorite thing in the world. And so I think we'll see a similar overall game plan. How we go about it might be tweaked. John, our buddy John Morrissey, who we go back and forth with on some stuff with him, he had a fantastic breakdown of the differences between Quill and Sanchez and the similarities and how it seems to be a good stylistic fit. And one of the ones that he pointed out that I think is interesting to me to see how it fits into our roster build is last year we saw a lot of a double pivot. We had Micheletto and Hosu, or Bailey and Hosu, or Bailey and Micheletto kind of playing back in front of the center backs out of possession. And then when we got into possession, it would transition and one of those would move forward. This is more of a 4-4-2 diamond type situation going on. And so we'll see kind of what that means for guys like Hosu. We already got Bailey and Micheletto coming back. So does that kind of spell the end of Hosu? Is he a little bit too repetitive in that defensive 6 position? What do we see there? And so a few things that John pointed out that I thought were very interesting and is something that I'm looking at going forward with new signings and returning signings and kind of what this roster ends up looking like. And he also played with 2 up top, sometimes 2 false nines. They had a lot of versatility up there. Like we played them 3 times. We didn't really see the same guys scoring goals every time. It wasn't like Trejo and Cal Jennings when it was always those 2 and they were the focal features up there. It was a kind of a rotating cast of characters up on top that were actually putting the ball in the back of the net. And so I think that fits kind of what our ethos has kind of been, where we've never really had like a go-to goal scorer up there as much as I want that. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of what roster tweaks he does. But I think what he did over there was fantastic in Vegas. I didn't have him on my list of people to watch because I didn't think we would go pay a transfer fee for a USL Western Conference Championship coach. Like that blew my mind that if we'd have got Mark Briggs, I'd have been like, oh, okay, yeah. He's available, Western Conference guy, knows the system, blah, blah, blah. But to go and be like, hey, you've got a coach. We want him. Here's some money, which I heard was not a lot of money. And so it just caught me off guard and never would have thought that would have happened, but I'm excited by it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that the Quill buyout from FC Dallas obviously paid for this, and no matter what we ended up paying Vegas for it. My thing with that situation is what happened in Vegas. Was there some sort of a disagreement? Was he looking out to get out anyway? And Harry and I were talking about it earlier. There must have been Las Vegas must already have somebody in mind, because I can't imagine someone being willfully agreeing to let their coach go, particularly this close to the preseason, unless they have something in mind. So again, that begs the question: what was going on in Vegas despite the success? Was there a problem?
I don't think there was a problem. I just think I just think it's as much as Vegas improved last year, they still don't have the history that New Mexico United has. There are different tiers of clubs within USL Championship and even League One. So I do think that going from Vegas to New Mexico United, and this is something that I talked to you about pre-show, New Mexico United has a history of putting coaches into MLS. And if that is something that you are looking to do, why not follow that path that I think two others have done for that here? Through New Mexico's history, I think this is the fourth coach, and two of them have left for MLS.
And technically, all three of the previous ones have left for MLS. Troy and Zach.
Coaching.
Well, no, Troy when he left, he was just an assistant.
That's true.
And then
it was named interim.
It was Red Bull Ken, their guy, and so he became the interim that same season. And then he got hired as DC's head coach last season. And so, but either way, it shows that there is a definite pipeline from us to first assistants / head coaches in the MLS, which, as we've seen, I mean, Quill isn't the only one to leave for MLS. I think he might be the first one that I can recall going straight to a head coaching gig, though. Because even the Phoenix coach last year went to be an assistant
in Houston.
And was it Charleston? No, there was another coach last year that left to be an assistant towards the end there. And so we've seen that a couple times, but this is the first one that's just jumped straight to being a head coach. And so, excited to see what FC Dallas does because of that. And if he's successful, then it could even boost our chances of keeping that pipeline going. And with him, it was kind of like, hey, FC Dallas, he very clearly said, like, he wasn't going to leave for just anywhere. It just happened to be his hometown club that he grew up playing for and watching and stuff like that. And that's the only reason why he made that move. So I think the MLS pipeline could be a little overblown at this point, but it still looks good on paper. And a lot of times that's all that matters.
But I don't think it's a locker room issue, just because you can't have that big of a turnaround. And they brought back 18 players from that team, including Valentin Noel, who's there now. My question is, because whenever a coach typically moves from one USL team to another, usually there is a couple of transfers that follows him as well. So to me, that'll be interesting if to see who he brings with him from Vegas or who his team go through. But to me, I won't lie to you. Number one, I completely forgot that the Miami FC still didn't have a head coach. And I was reminded that today because I thought everybody had a head coach now. But there's not. But if you look, Briggs, Stephen Glass from Memphis is still a solid. Marcina, who has a unique style. Most of the coaches that were let go, stepped down, mutually separated, whatever, have not found positions this year, which I found kind of odd, especially with Briggs and Stephen Glass for their hair, or the Northern Colorado coach who was very highly rated, has not
See, I
found a position as
I
well.
don't think they're folding though. They're just not going to be back in USL League One. So
Who?
Noco.
Yeah, they're not folding, but
I didn't know if he would.
They don't have a place to play though. Where are they going to play?
I hadn't heard if he was leaving. Maybe they're still trying to work that out, and so he's not technically available.
Well, technically he is because his contract, because the contracts is with USL. So any players, coaches, those contracts are free. Now, let's say Norco goes to MLS Next Pro, which I don't think they would do for this upcoming year, because they typically already have those teams announced along those lines. Plus, let's not forget that they didn't play players. They were behind on paying for the facility. Nice is closed, so to me that was probably their closest avenue to be able to kind of get the band back together. But to me, like I said here, there are still a lot of quality coaches out there, even from teams like last year, like Briggs, Glass, Marcina, all have had quality teams. With Glass with obviously Briggs in Sacramento, Glass with Charleston and Memphis, and Marcina with San Antonio. So
does Vegas open their pocketbook and bring in one of those guys? Because Vegas doesn't have a coach now too. So
right, and Vegas has been opening up the the pocketbook. So that's not an issue. But to me, it'll be interesting to see what, because you figure bringing back 18, they don't want to rock the boat too much from what what they had set up already on the system here. So I don't know. I would like to say I know enough about the coaches to be able to say, hey, player X or coach X matches, but that I don't.
I think one, if you're a good coach, you can adapt for a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where Briggs ends up. Stylistically, it's not like a perfect fit. He does like possession a little bit, not as much. And so, but to me, if I'm Vegas and I just get rid of the most successful coach they've ever had, if you just like name one of his assistants as head coach, I think your fan base is going to be pretty upset. Maybe your players are happy, but I don't know. It's going to be, now that the coaching carousel was almost over, and then this job pops up out of nowhere, seemingly. It's very interesting to see what they decide to do and how fast they do it, because I think how fast they announce a new one will kind of tell us if they already had something in mind. Because if it takes 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like it did with United, then they probably didn't have anything in mind, and they probably had to start kind of from scratch. And if they do that, like, their season's going to be in some jeopardy, I think, because as you guys talked about, preseason a month away. Like,
but let's not forget, Phoenix lost their coach last year. 2 weeks before the season started,
mm-hmm.
And then they promoted Stone,
and then he lasted 6 months or 3 months.
He didn't last well, and then he gets on at Orange County and carried them to the playoffs and ended up getting an extension through them to be the coach for Orange County going forward. So.
Yeah. The coaching carousel has probably been the story of the offseason in the USL right now. And so it's almost tied up, but I'm very interested to see how everything gets a bow put on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quickly about Northern Colorado. Sorry, I was doing some research. So apparently there was some news yesterday. Northern Colorado Rain FC, which is the women's soccer club, Northern Colorado Hailstorm, and Northern Colorado Owls of the Independent Pioneer Baseball League are all independently owned and operated by Future Legends, which is owned by Jeff Katofsky. They were appealing a $7 million judgment. According to this article here, both clubs will have a new league affiliation for 2025.
Question is who?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say here where they're going, but the club is finalizing details, which should be announced within the next month.
The only place they could go to would be professionally would be MLS Next Pro. That's the only professional league that they could go into. I don't see them dropping down to USL League One, because obviously they burnt that relationship since they are fighting in court. So then they would have to go to NPSL, UPSL, WPSL, UWS, along those lines, which is a semi-pro team, which to be honest with you, probably wouldn't be bad for them to kind of, because they've got, their finances are a mess. There's no question. There's no question about that. I could see them dropping down, and then I personally think it's kind of late for an MLS Next Pro team to come aboard, but I guess they could become Rapids too,
potentially.
And then like I said here, then you're under the Rapids umbrella, but that's only for the men. The women would have to still find WPSL or along those lines.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know how they're going to manage it. Future Legends was sued for more than $56 million in unpaid loans and bills.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a mess right there.
And that's USL. Well, Norcross is suing USL for not paying them the Jaeger Cut payment, even though USL was covering the paychecks for the players. So it's a mess.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That it is.
Andrew over in the chat says last season Lights hired Sanchez January 29th for what it's worth. I will say that last season Lights did everything, including a roster at the very last minute. So
because the sale didn't go through till around that time. Once that sale went through and Bautista purchased them, that's when when everything changed. The circus went away.
And so my counterpoint to Andrew's semi-point is, it was easy for them to hire him at that late because then he still had a clean slate to work with. He still could bring in players that he wanted to bring in. Whereas now they've already got, like Harry said, 17, 18 players under contract. Now, as we know, under contract in soccer is a lot different than under contract in other pro sports in America. And so under contract, like we could see, like last year when
Tulsa.
when Tulsa's head coach left, we saw mass exodus at that point.
Well, even before then, they signed players that were like, oh, Tulsa's going to be better. And then before the season, oh, hey, we're transferring them to, other USL championship teams. And
there was a ton.
What are you doing? Yeah.
And some of them, like Portillo, who was there for a little while and then left, it just kind of, not saying that we won't see that with the Lights, or not saying that we will see that with Lights, but we could. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. We very well could get a couple of Lights players coming this way once Sanchez gets in and gets settled, and him and Itamar team up and see what they want to do with the remaining spots. But I'm excited with the direction that we're going to go in, and hopefully now that we have a head coach and a technical director to work on things, we'll see a few more names popping up, whether it's returning or hopefully some new ones as well. The new ones are always exciting anyways, even though it is hard to see some players leave.
Yep, that is. And we're like I said, we're very few short weeks away from preseason. And along those lines, Jacob, I know you're going to go try out for New Mexico United here in a couple weeks. Club did announce open tryouts for the 2025 season. So if you're interested and you're over the age of 17, by all means, go fill out an application, go try out.
Does New Mexico have an age limit on the upper? Because San Antonio FC does. Because they joked about, hey, because I think it's 26, which I think is probably realistic. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, they have an age limit like from 16 to 26, that 10-year period for in San Antonio that you can try out. I wonder if New Mexico has that, or they're taking a cash grab from everybody.
There is nothing in the registration link that gives an upper limit.
So I could see that becoming more common. I don't want to see myself get hurt out there by paying $100 saying, hey, let me try out, and, getting hurt and having that. And so, yeah, to me, I think it's a smart way to do that, to be honest with you.
Yep, I agree. So Yeah, open tryouts January 11th. If you're interested, go fill out the link over on the Mexico United's website. Maybe we can convince Earl to do it on a dare or something. I don't know, but
Earl's a dad now. He's not fun. He doesn't do anything fun anymore.
It have to be you, Seth.
It have to be me.
Yeah. Jacob lives in the middle of nowhere with 18 kids.
My girlfriend agrees with you, Harry.
Earl is, what, in Taos now?
Santa Fe.
Who knows how, well, a little further north than that. We'll
a little bit.
He's becoming more of a switchback fan, I think, at this point, for as far north as he is. And so that just leaves you.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I might have to drag my kids out there with me in some potentially freezing weather. So
Harry, get your son out there.
AJ, yeah, but
he's like, nah.
Dude,
oh man, no.
sucks,
See, Josh,
dude.
the thing is that wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be a forward. There's no way. I don't have the height to be a forward. Now I might be like about 1.5 inches taller than Brucey, but that's it.
But you got the speed.
He does. If he doesn't, he can just reprogram his legs and they'll move faster.
Fair enough.
Do you got the hairline? Do you got the hairline of Bruce?
No,
I do. I do.
No, I do not share Brucey's hairline. So
much love to Brucey, though. He's a class player, but
he
was thinning out in certain spots at the top.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, exciting week, exciting news. Again, like I said, we hadn't planned on being here at all. And then all sorts of news.
Well, you wanted to do it Christmas Eve. Let's be honest. You were pushing everybody to do it Christmas Eve.
Yes. The soulless robot Seth was like, I don't care about your family functions. You will do it on Christmas Eve. And we were like, sorry, sir.
I was like, well, I can do it,
but
like you really need Jacob or Earl or Christina. You got to have somebody besides the San Antonio guy to talk about the new coach.
Yeah, and we certainly didn't want this to get to the new year and not have us come on and talk about it, because I mean this is significant news. The club will do an official introductory press conference of Coach Sanchez after the new year. So hopefully at least one of us can get out there for that. Get to greet Coach and welcome.
I will be there.
You will be there.
I'm assuming. I don't know exactly what the date's going to be, but if it's a Wednesday, Thursday like he normally does, or like they normally do, then I will find a way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I may try to be there depending upon the date. I might be able to finagle it, but it would definitely be good to get out there and see Coach at the introduction. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be exciting. Keep an eye out. You're probably going to see a few more announcements over the next couple of weeks. My guess is we see a handful of new signings coming up. Once Coach and Inamar, like you said, get to sit down and look at Coach's wish list and who Inamar has been looking at, and it's a very short time away from the season, so I can't wait. Anybody else have anything before we get out of here?
Just be smart. New Year's Eve, if you're gonna go have some adult beverages. Make sure you Uber, Lyft, taxi, call a friend, walk home. Don't bike home, because when I was younger, not to share a story, I got in trouble for that. Not as bad, but the cop was kind of cool, but still be careful with that. Just be safe. And like I said here, obviously it's a new year, celebrate, have fun. Be smart and don't do something silly like drink and drive.
Completely agree. So, Jacob, you got anything?
No. I think we'll be back. Maybe not next week, depending on what happens between here and there. But our next episode will definitely be looking at the roster. What we have right now, I think there's 13 players, I believe, that are returning. 6 so far that are we've said a goodbye to, which leaves roughly 4 or 5 that are kind of up in the air, including Gloucester and Hosu. among some others. I didn't go through and like really fully double check everything. I haven't had a chance to really break that down. I had it broken down, but then my notes are in my office at work. So, and I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but we'll definitely be diving into the roster next time we come on with what we know now, what we will hopefully be announced in the next week or two. Depending on what happens between now and next week, maybe we do another Thursday one since New Year's Eve is on a Tuesday. And so I don't know. I don't know if you want New Year's Eve Jacob on the pod. That's a different Jacob right there. And so, but no, that's all I got. Thank you guys for being flexible, coming on a little later after a long day for me. But I was excited to get on and talk. I missed last week, and so definitely wanted to chat about stuff. And the fact that preseason's only a month away roughly is crazy, and I'm excited about it, and can't wait for the season to get started. So, Harry, thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure. But that's all I got, Seth.
Two-time president of Team Jacob now. I've updated the role.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed earlier, but I changed it to ex-president when you were giving me shit about something for a brief second. And then I was like, no, he's okay.
So I'm 3-time now?
No. I think the
paperwork hadn't gone through.
No, I hadn't gone through the nothing was finalized there. It was a rash decision that I talked myself out of. So still just two. But no, that's all I got, Seth. You got anything else?
Nope, that's it. Get us out of here.
All right. Justin, Josh, Andrew, Lily. I think that was about it. Let me scroll back up and just double check. Yep, looks good there. Thank you guys so much. I love when the chat's active like that. Big news, big week that we just had. Just in the United world, it was a big week. So definitely feel like Seth said earlier, we had to come on, give you guys something, chat about it. Had to bring Harry on for some outsider perspective and some big picture schedule, USL, coaching carousel perspective. And so really appreciate it. We'll be back. Hope everybody had a great Christmas. Hope everybody has a happy and safe New Year. And I'm gonna do it. You're gonna hate it, but I'm gonna do it. We'll see you guys next year. Somos Unidos.